The John mansion glittered that night, chandeliers threw golden lights across the dining hall, filling every corner with warmth. The sound of silverware clinking against china mixed with bursts of laughter from the elders. At the far end of the long dining table, you sat stiffly, arms crossed, eyes narrowed at the boy sitting across from you, John Jungkook, dressed casually yet effortlessly pulling all eyes to him. He slouched back in his chair, jaw tight, a faint smirk tugging at his lips, as though daring you to start something. The elders, oblivious to the silent war between you, raised their glasses. At last, our dream comes true. The bond between our families will be sealed forever. Jungkook's father began. Yes, what better way than through our children's marriage, your father said. You choked on your drink, coughing as everyone looked at you. Careful, sweetheart. Meanwhile, Jungkook let out a quiet laugh, shaking his head as though he found your discomfort amusing. You glared at him, mouthing silently, shut up. He raised a brow and mouthed back, make me. You wanted to flip the table. The elders continued their discussion, completely unaware. I always said, from the time they were children, these two are meant for each other. Remember how they used to bicker? That's a sign of deep connection. Your jaw dropped. Connection? If throwing sand in his hair at age 7 and ripping your notebook at age 10 counted as a connection, then maybe. Your grandmother chuckled warmly. Yes, fights in childhood often mean strong bonds in adulthood. Jungkook glanced at you then, his smirk curling higher, almost mocking. See, Ryan, looks like fate want me to be your eternal nightmare. You kicked him under the table hard. He winced, shooting you a death glare, but kept his smile plastered on for the adults. To Jungkook and Ryan, may this bond last a lifetime, your father said, clinking glasses. Everyone clapped, glasses raised. Meanwhile, you and Jungkook exchanged looks that screamed the opposite over my dead body. The cool night air hit your face as you stepped out, desperate for escape. You hugged yourself, pacing, frustration burning in your chest. And of course, as fate loved to mock you, you heard footsteps behind you. You run fast, afraid you'll actually marry me if you sit long enough at that table, he said, leaning casually against the porch railing. You spun around. Don't think for a second I'm happy about this engagement. It's torture. Jungkook smirked, shoving his hands in his pockets. Good, I would rather die than marry you. You scoffed, rolling your eyes, then do us both a favor and drop dead. He chuckled, low and teasing. PST, I'd almost think you actually care. You gritted your teeth. Care? I've hated you since the day you pulled my braids in 3rd grade. His grin widened. And I hated you when you cried so loud the teacher gave me detention. You never did know when to shut up. Your hands curled into fists. You are insufferable. He leaned closer, his breath fanning your face, and you are predictable. You stepped back, trying to mask the way your heart skipped. Why did he always do this? Push your buttons, test your limits, yet linger close enough that you noticed his warmth. If you think I'll go along with this marriage nonsense, you're delusional. Jungkook's smirk faltered slightly. Then what? You'll run away? Break your parents' hearts? You care too much about them, Ryan. That's your problem. His words cut deeper than you expected. You looked away, biting your lip. At least I don't go around disappointing mine. The silence that followed was sharp, his jaw clenched, eyes hardening, but he didn't fire back. Instead, he looked away, exhaling slowly. Believe what you want, I don't care. But you noticed the flicker in his eyes, the same one you had seen 1,000 times before whenever he lied, because the truth was he did care. You didn't see it, but Jungkook had. When you struggled with your bicycle chain on your way home from college, he had watched from a distance, waiting until you left before crouching down to fix it properly. When you walked home late from class, he lingered behind, his bike engine silent as he shadowed you from afar until you reached your doorstep safely. When that one senior tried to ask for your number persistently, it was Jungkook who stepped in, his voice sharp and dangerous enough to scare the guy off, but he never admitted any of it, and you hated that you noticed. You think you're fooling everyone with that bad boy act, but you are not. You are just. Jungkook raised a brow. Just what? Your words stuck in your throat, just protective, just someone who cared, just someone who never let you out of his sight even though he claimed to hate you. You exhaled sharply. Forget it. He smirked again, but softer this time, almost vulnerable. Good. Don't overthink, princess. You'll ruin that pretty face of yours. He rose to your cheeks before you could stop it. You quickly turned away, muttering, I hate you. Behind you, he whispered so low you barely caught it, words he had never dared repeat aloud. Yeah, hate you too. But his eyes said something different entirely. It was an ordinary afternoon on campus, but you felt uneasy. Eyes followed you more than usual, whispers trailing in your wake. You ignored them, clutching your books tighter. Near the parking lot, two guys leaned against a wall, talking far too loudly. One of them, the smug son of a professor, kept his gaze fixed on you. Damn, look at her, she's so hot. If I had her in my arms tonight, I would make sure everyone knew about it. He said to his friend, grinning. His friend chuckled, glancing at you. You are right, she's the prettiest girl here. Yes, and imagine her with me. Gosh, should I ask her out? Jungkook dropped his helmet onto his bike seat and stormed toward them, his eyes burned with fury. Say that again. The boy smirked. What? That she's sexy? That I should. His words were cut off by Jungkook's fist colliding with his jaw. Gasps echoed as the professor's son stumbled back, clutching his face. What the hell, man? His friend shouted. But Jungkook didn't stop. He grabbed the boy by his collar and landed another punch, then another, rage dripping from every move. Who are you having on your arm? I'll. You hear me? The boy spat blood, still smirking despite the pain. So what? She's not yours. That was all it took. Jungkook lost it, throwing him down and pinning him to the ground, fists raining down mercilessly. You'll not talk about her ever again. Your eyes widened when you saw the scene. You shoved through the small crowd gathering. Jungkook, stop, he's bleeding. Stop it. What are you doing? You grabbed his arm mid-swing. Jungkook, stop. Enough. For a moment he froze, chest heaving, knuckles bloody. Slowly he released the boy and stood, his glare still locked on him. Professors rushed over, pulling Brian away while he groaned in pain. The crowd whispered in shock. To the office now, the professor said angrily to Jungkook. He wiped his knuckles on his jeans, jaw tight but didn't resist. You caught his arm before he walked off. Why did you do that? You're going to get suspended again. He looked down at you, his eyes softened for a brief second. Because he was talking shit about you. You frowned confused. So, Why does it matter? His lips parted, voice almost slipping. Because you are. He stopped, swallowing his words, glancing away. Forget it. And before you could push further, he walked away, leaving you standing there with your heart racing, wondering what he had almost said. The principal's office was tense, the air heavy with disapproval. You sat quietly on the bench outside, your heart pounding as muffled voices came from inside. John Jungkook, this is not the first time you have caused trouble. Violence on school grounds is unacceptable. Then teacher staffs is brought to keep his filthy mouth shut. The principal threw his hand on the table and raised his voice. That's enough. You are suspended for 1 week. There was silence, then the sound of a chair scraping back. A moment later, the door swung open and Jungkook stepped out, his face unreadable, knuckles still bruised. You stood, anger and worry fighting inside you. Suspended again? Congratulations. Want me to clap for you? Jungkook smirked faintly, but it didn't reach his eyes. Save it. I don't need your lecture. You crossed your arms. Then why do it? Why risk your future like this? He shrugged, looking away. He had it coming. Not good enough. You don't throw punches just because someone opens their mouth. What if they expel you next time? His jaw tightened. He turned his gaze on you, sharp and intense. He wasn't just opening his mouth wide. He was talking about you like you are some toy. I don't let people disrespect what's mine. You blinked, startled. What's yours? Realizing what he had said, he quickly looked away, stuffing his hands into his pockets. You stepped closer. Say it. Finish what you were about to say. Jungkook shook his head, smirking again as if to brush it off. Don't flatter yourself. So you beat a guy half to death for fun then? Because that's even dumber. He stepped closer this time, so close you had to tilt your head to keep looking at him. His voice dropped low and steady. You really don't get it, do you? Then make me understand. You said in a challenging tone. For a moment his mask slipped. His eyes softened, his lips parted, and you swore he was about to say it because you're mine. But then he exhaled, stepping back with a bitter chuckle. Forget it, not worth explaining to someone who hates me anyway. Your chest tightened, an ache you couldn't name filling it. Maybe I wouldn't hate you so much if you stopped acting like you don't care about anything. Jungkook's smirk faded completely, his eyes locked on yours. Maybe I act like I don't care because the truth would scare the hell out of you. You stared at him, stunned. Before you could respond, the bell rang in the distance, breaking the moment. Jungkook grabbed his bag from the floor and walked off without looking back, leaving you speechless. The next morning, whispers spread faster than wildfire. Everyone on campus was buzzing about the fight, about Jungkook's suspension, about how the professor's son had to get stitches, and about you, because everyone knew Jungkook only snapped after your name came up. You kept your head down, ignoring the stares. It wasn't your fault, you told yourself, but deep down, you knew it was all connected. When the last class ended, you stepped outside, adjusting your bag on your shoulder, and then you froze. There he was, leaning against his motorbike parked just outside the gate, hands stuffed in his jacket pocket, head tilted slightly like he had been waiting for hours. Suspended, not allowed on campus grounds, yet here he was anyway. You shouldn't be here, you said, walking up to him, frowning, but he smirked lazily. Good evening to you too, fiancé. You rolled your eyes. I'm serious. If the staff sees you, they'll report you. You'll get into more trouble. He shrugged. What's new? You sighed, exasperated. Why, Jungkook? Why risk it? You are suspended. You should be at home, not loitering around here like some delinquent. Jungkook leaned closer, his eyes sharp, but his voice was calm. Maybe I just wanted to make sure my enemy got home safe. Your chest tightened, but you refused to show it. Enemy, huh? That's all I am to you. Jungkook smirked faintly, but there was a flicker in his eyes. Isn't that what you wanted, for me to hate you? You hesitated, then asked quietly, and what do you want? For a moment his facade slipped, his jaw clenched, his eyes softened, as though he was about to tell you everything, but then he chuckled, shaking his head. I want you to stop asking me so many questions. You stepped closer, stubborn. No, tell me. Was it worth it, getting suspended for a whole week? Everyone's talking about you. They think you have lost your mind. His gaze locked onto yours, unwavering. Yeah, it was worth it. You blinked. What? If I had to do it again, I would. 1,000 times. No one talks about you like that and walks away smiling. Your heart pounded. You wanted to say something, anything, but your throat went dry. Why? Why me? Why do you care so much? His lips parted, eyes searching yours. He leaned in, his voice barely above a whisper. Because you're. He stopped, shutting his eyes for a second, fighting himself, then he leaned back, smirking again as though he hadn't almost confessed. Because you're annoying. And if anyone's gonna drive me insane, it's gonna be me, not some other jerk. You glared, flustered. You are impossible. He smirked wider, and you are blushing. You turn away quickly, hiding your face. I'm not. Jungkook chuckled, starting his bike. Come on, I'll drop you home. Unless you would rather walk and risk more creeps talking about you. You hesitated, then climbed on behind him, holding the sides of the seat instead of him. He glanced back. You'll fall if you don't hold on to me. I would rather fall. He laughed, reviving the engine. Suit yourself, princess. But secretly he slowed down just enough to make sure you would never slip. That evening the John mansion was far from quiet. Jungkook stood in the living room, head lowered, his orange penny crumpled in his hands. His parents' sharp voice filled the air like knives. Suspended again? Jungkook, do you even understand what humiliation you have brought upon us? The whole college knows. You are ruining our family's name. Why did you beat a professor's son? Mrs. John said. Jungkook clenched his fists, jaw tight, but said nothing. His eyes flickered with that same frustration, the one he always carried when no one tried to understand him. And then suddenly all eyes turned when you stepped forward. Uncle, auntie, this time it wasn't his fault. Mrs. John turned to you. Why, dear? You nodded and looked at Jungkook, who was already looking at you. Then he turned to his parents. Those boys, they were saying things about me, rude things. Jungkook heard them and he just couldn't stay quiet. He was only trying to protect me. Mr. John's brows furrowed, his anger faltering. Mrs. John gasped softly, her expression softening as she looked between you and Jungkook. Is that true? Jungkook clenched his jaw, lowering his gaze, but finally nodded. His voice was quiet, almost stubborn. I didn't care what they said about me, but they don't get to talk about her like that. The room went quiet. You felt your chest tighten as you glanced at him, his shoulders stiff, fists still clenched, but his eyes full of something raw and unspoken. You smiled a little and stepped closer. He didn't do anything wrong this time. He was just standing up for me. Mrs. John pressed her lips together, her eyes misty now, while Mr. John slowly exhaled, shaking his head but with a faint smile tugging at his lips. Still, fight wasn't a solution. You should have talked to the principal. I'll go and address this issue, but you have to promise me that you won't fight again, okay? Jungkook nodded but didn't promise. He finally lifted his head, his eyes meeting yours, and for the first time that night, there was a tiny smile on his face. You felt your cheeks warm as you smiled back. Mrs. Dawn touched your hand gently. Thank you, dear, for telling us. Maybe we were too harsh. You smiled. It's okay, auntie. Now everything is fine. Jungkook walked beside you, his hand shoved in his pockets, that smug little smirk tugging at his lips. Since when did you start taking my side, huh? He teased, bumping his shoulder lightly against yours. You rolled your eyes. I didn't. I just returned the favor. Now we are even. I don't owe you anything. He stopped walking, making you halt too. His gaze fixed on you with that mischievous spark in his eyes. You do. You frowned, tilting your head. What? No, I don't. He stepped closer, making you feel shivers. My heart. Your lips parted, caught completely off guard. The usual arrogance in his tone was replaced with something gentler, something that made your chest flutter. Jungkook? He grinned, but this time it wasn't smug, it was shy, hopeful. I'm serious. I used to think arguing with you was my favorite thing in the world, but then I realized it wasn't the fights, it was you. Always you, and now you have got my heart, whether you want it or not. Your throat tightened, warmth spreading through you. You looked at him, really looked at him, and for the first time you saw not the troublemaker, not your rival, but the boy who had always, in his own way, been on your side too. A small smile curved your lips. Then, I guess, I'll just have to take care of it, huh? Jungkook's smirk softened into a grin, his eyes shining. He leaned in just enough, his forehead brushing yours. Guess that means you're mine now, Miss Soon-to-be Mrs. John. You rolled your eyes again, but this time you were smiling, your cheeks warm. Don't push your luck, John. He chuckled, low and happy, before slipping his hand into yours, holding it tight like he would never let it go. And just like that, enemies became something more, something real and something forever.